Good morning. Happy Monday. I'm always amazed by the comments that I get. I'm amazed, generally speaking, at the lengths people will go through to justify terrible actions done by terrible people. I've seen it with people trying to justify actions taken both by and against the police before all of this coronavirus rioting crap started. And now it seems like it's intensified to an absurd scale. In the comment section of my last video, where I stated that Kyle Rittenhouse is a hero, the first topic that was raised is, well, you know, everyone's terrorist is another group's hero, or something along those lines. And yeah, that is fairly accurate. Every group believes that they are justified in what they're doing. For whatever reason, they believe that their actions are the just actions. But that's their subjective belief. There's also objective reality. And objective reality is that it's a pretty much universally accepted truth that people have a right to defend their lives and their property. Life, liberty, and property. It's at least in Western civilization, that's almost a accepted truth. And when one group is acting to endanger people's lives and property, and another person is acting to defend people's lives and property, well, it's a pretty easy equation to complete. It's the whole thing is, if Group A wasn't there, what would Group B do? So if the rioters weren't there, what would Kyle Rittenhouse do? Nothing. He would go back to scrubbing graffiti off of walls. He would go back to helping his neighbors clean up and repair from the damage. Now, if Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't there, what would the rioters have done? They would have blown up a gas station. They would have burned down more cars at car dealerships. But for Kyle Rittenhouse, they would have continued doing the destructive actions that they were doing. So you could see the difference in the causation. You could see why, as a Western society, as a Western culture, we have allowed people historically, since time immemorial, to defend themselves and their property, as well as to defend the lives and property of others. A pharmacist got terribly confused and told me, first of all, that Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't lawfully carrying his firearm. Now, that's a red herring, because it doesn't matter. You have a right to self-defense whether or not you're carrying legally or not. The status of your carry has zero impact on whether or not you had a right to self-defense. But arguendo, I find it odd that when I state my legal opinion, being an attorney backed up by other attorneys who are licensed to practice in the state of Wisconsin, i.e. Barnes Law, he then goes on to say, well, he has attorneys who thinks otherwise, and so I shouldn't state it as a fact. Well, it is a fact, in my legal opinion, that he had a right to carry. So, I mean, I tell you lots of things as fact when they're just my legal opinion, but they're just my legal opinion based on solid case law and statute. So, I mean, that's the whole point of my channel. And far be it for me to offend a pharmacist, but I think maybe the pharmacist overstepped his bounds. Anyway, the pharmacist then went on to state that that Kyle doesn't have a right to protect people's property. That only the property owner has the right to protect their property. Now, that is a ridiculous statement to make. Again, well, So discounting police and firefighters whose sole job is to protect other people's lives and property. I mean, that's literally what they're there to do. The police are there to arrest the people who are endangering lives and property and to stop people from endangering lives and property. And the firefighters are there to save houses, save property, and rescue people who have been injured. I mean, that's literally their jobs. And they are not the people who themselves are losing their property. They're rescuing other people and saving other people's property. But you can also see that there are Good Samaritan laws to encourage people to help others and rescue others and prevent and protect other people's properties. The right to self-defense is the right to self-defense for yourself and others. So you can use self-defense to save someone else's life. If someone points a gun at a random stranger, you have the right to defend that person, just up to the extent that they would have a right to defend themselves. Similarly, you have the right to use force to defend your property, and you have the right to use force to defend others' property. And that the amount of force depends on the state. Usually you can't use deadly force to protect property. However, you can, generally speaking, use force to defend not just your property, but the property of others. And in fact, there is, in Western countries, the citizen's arrest, or at least in the United States, there is citizen's arrest, wherein if you see someone who is endangering others' property or persons, you can arrest them. You literally have that right. So a pharmacist arguing that you don't have the right or I guess you don't have an obligation to, but you definitely have the right to protect the property of others, whether or not they have asked you to protect their property. And I bring that up because he states that the owner of the business stated that he hadn't asked Kyle to protect his property. And that's, again, a red herring. It doesn't matter whether or not Kyle was asked. Kyle has the right, has protection from the law if he is actively protecting the property and persons of others. So, and I'm sure that the property owner is saying that he didn't invite Kyle to protect his property because that would invite lots of liability to that property owner, to that business owner. So it's just fun to watch people try to make false equivalencies. It's another fun thing that was brought up is someone said, well, what about if he was black? What about if Kyle was black? And that's just an astounding question to ask. Like, who the F cares? Why are we bringing race into this situation? It's a white guy who shot 3 white guys. Why are we bringing race into the situation? Black people have a right to self-defense too. Black people have a right to defend their property too. Black people, we have equality under the law in the United States. Believe it or not. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. You have the same rights. And before people go and tell me that white people have some sort of an inherent advantage over black people, I want to remind you that right now there is a convicted rapist who was stopped by the police as he was stealing the van of the woman who had a protective order against him because he had raped her. The man resisted arrest and went for a knife, and he is now being honored by NFL players by having his name on their helmets. Show me the white guy who has that kind of privilege. Anyway, I'm off topic now, but my point is that there is a clear distinction between being an aggressor and a defender. And Antifa, Black Bloc, BLM, whatever you want to call the current group of people who are rioting, I think they're all the same group. They use the same tactics. They have the same Marxist kind of end goal in mind. And it always seems that whatever they're rioting under is just a pretext for trying to usher in Marxism. Disaffected Bernie Sanders supporters, maybe. Who knows? But anyway, They are the aggressors. They are the ones who are going out and burning the property of people who've done no wrong, looting the property of people who've done no wrong, assaulting and battering and shooting and otherwise hurting people who have done no wrong, threatening people who have different ideological positions than they do. They are the aggressors. They are the baddies. Kyle Rittenhouse did not threaten anyone. He merely defended property of others and his own property. But for the aggressors aggressing on him and attacking him, they would still be alive today. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.